When they imagine Belize, a Central American country on the Caribbean coast near Guatemala, North American travelers may think of diving into sparkling ocean waters. As an educator who works with boys in schools, I am exploring in a different way. We are on the streets of Sanebite, a coastal town in the Stan Creek Valley. I am learning the social and economic realities here. The majority of Belizean children do not complete their education. Adolescent pregnancy is one of the highest in the region. The Human Rights Commission of Belize reports that 50% of children are being abused in homes and schools where corporal punishment is culturally and legally sanctioned. The report described an educator using a car antenna to hit a boy on his hands and legs, bruising his skin. How did the authorities respond? They said that physical discipline is not recommended, but if a student should be lashed, the school principal should carry it out. 60% of teachers in Belize have no formal training to teach, and boys are disengaging from school at alarming rates. When these boys drop out of school, they make their way on the streets. Violence becomes a way of life. Women become primary targets. When the Minister of Education launched Education Week in May of 2008, he highlighted a workshop addressing the needs of boys. Boy Smarts, making education work for boys in Belize. One of the educators I talked to there was Ms. Dina with the Delil Academy in Dengriga town. This passionate, caring school principal is determined to improve education for all. Listen to her concerns and her hopes.
Every year we have lesser boys even coming to high school. Other than that, when they in fact get into high school, the rate at which the boys tend to drop out of school, either for academic reasons or disciplinary problems, is much higher than the girls. As a matter of fact, I've been working here at the Delil Academy for 2 years, and in that time, we have not had to not really suspend or expel any girls. The boys that end up falling along the wayside are the persons ending up doing that are the boys. There are so many things out there that the boys get, tied into. Bad influences, drugs, just not enough parental guidance, single parent homes where the mother is there but she is the only breadwinner, so there's very little in the way of being a guardian for that child. And boys will usually from what I observe, they will find the area of least resistance where they can find a niche where they can feel comfortable. So school for many of them is just not that. School is a lot of pressure, having to follow rules, having to be punctual. All of those things seem very, very difficult. So that's where we are in terms of boys coming to school. Many of them too come from the primary school as low achievers, and it is so very difficult to find that area where we could stimulate them to change that mindset. So basically that's where we are in terms of the problems that we're encountering with boys.
Over the past 2 or 3 days, we've spent a lot of time talking about boys from a variety of perspectives. Is there anything that you heard us talk about, either in small groups or the larger discussion group, that gave you some hope for the future of educating boys and the boys in your community?
Well, there was so much that we got, all of which had to be followed up in the book Boy Smarts, because I felt a little bit, it was like a bombardment of all this information. I was so excited about the many different techniques that could be used, and all came up from that workshop that we had was that the techniques that were taught gave us hope that there is hope for boys, that these are the steps that we can take. Although the steps that we need to take to do the right thing is such a long process, you cannot see the outcome of it in a year or two, but I am sure that if we can begin by moving slowly I think on the long run, using the methods that you have proposed, that you have, documented in your books, we would be able definitely to move forward.
Ms. Dina, you work in a very challenging area here, because the children who attend your school are children who have failed in other schools. And so you've gathered about 400 youth from of a large age range. Could you tell us a little bit about these students?
Okay. The students that come to the Lille Academy, based on our mission, are students who would otherwise not be accepted at other conventional secondary institutions. Reason being that they perhaps did not make the grade in the PSC. So from the very outset, they would be labeled as underachievers. Secondly, the children who end up coming here are from very poor economic backgrounds. As I have mentioned before, single families, families that are extended families, just a grandmother in the house or an uncle or an aunt raising them. With all of this, students bring to us esteem issues of not being able to listen and participate wholesomely in the activities that are being shared at school. Some students come to school many days without a meal. So, you're caught up with students who would come and say, "Miss, my belly hurts." When you ask them, "Oh, why?" "Well, it's because I haven't had breakfast," and stuff like that. So, these are the students that come to our school. We also have students who come to our school because they have dropped out of another high school and are not permitted to return. Students who went to high school and girls got pregnant, and so they can't go back because the high schools don't accept them pregnant. These are the people. So in one class, for example, we would have an age range of about 12 or 13 years to 30. So that actually compounds one's ability to be able to reach to not only students from different age ranges, but from different experiences. So really harness their interest to listen and to learn. So with all of these variables going on, and added to that the fact that we have teachers that are not specifically trained to deal with students with different needs, that is a problem.
Where do you find your hope for the future of these children that are marginalized and come from very difficult circumstances?
My dream has always been to, of course, we cannot create a utopia anywhere. That's just totally unrealistic. But just giving it your all. My idea has always been to work with a team that is dedicated to giving all that they possibly can.
Right.
To not only change the students, we need to look farther than just the students. We need to look at generations afterwards. Because if you're looking at only dealing with the present students, that has a far-reaching effect. If you can affect the lives positively of 400 children, imagine the exponential capacity of that. So that is what I'm looking at. And also I yearn so very much to get further training myself and also get training for the people who are willing to give up themselves to be a part of this team, to be a part of what would revolutionize education in Belize.
When we hold the belief that we can help all students to succeed, kids thrive. Listen to these boys share their talents and strengths.
Oh,